Oh, look at that. It went live for me. Sorry, everybody. I didn't realize I am reconnecting all of my software and had no idea the computer went live. Who knew? Anyway, so we are hanging out talking about Andtor. If you are following along, my name is Doug from 2 Plus Stuff, and I had the lore series go out for Harbingers recently. Here, let me switch to this here while I figure out my biz. Had the move of a lifetime in the meantime. So when the first video went up, I was in the middle of moving, finally got everything set up, and now we're going to be troubleshooting. But I was so excited to see the Andtor rules that came out, meaning the next Battle Scroll, Season of War, whatever we want to call it. And so I wanted to hop on as soon as I could to just chat about it. And quite frankly, hanging out with y'all kind of raises my mood, and it was a hell of a move. So we're going to be hanging out here. Please forgive the weird intro. I will clip that out later if I can. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now is go over to the shared screen. Got some music playing. Just let me know if it's too loud or whatever. I'm happy to adjust. I'm going to go through the Andtor Battle Scroll and just kind of give my thoughts in real time. Games Workshop was kind enough to send this to me in advance, but unfortunately, because of the packing and the moving, I had to make a choice between talking about this or Harbingers, and I always choose narrative, content for my own sake. So let's talk about what we got going on over here. Hey, what's up, Hans? Okay, so this is Battle Scroll Andtor. You can get to this by going to the newest MetaWatch article for Age of Sigmar. And if you're new to AOS, essentially these are like, I used to call them Seasons of War, and then I thought they changed that. But essentially think of it as like the narrative flavor of the games right now. So instead of all tournament games being the same, every couple of months they switch it out. Some emphasize infantry, some emphasize monsters. This one is all about wizards, and I'm very excited to jump into it. So, let's see. As you can probably guess, the Seasons of War is all about wizards. There are loads of new magical tools in the General's Handbook, including primal magic, realm magic, and nullstone adornments. You will need to put a stop to all these arcane shenanigans. The guys also touch on other gameplay matters contained within the book. So, they have kind of like their thoughts here. We're going to just jump right in here. And the way that I usually do these chats is I'm just going to go through, I'll stop at the end of each kind of rough section, depending on how long it takes to cover a particular area. And I'll open it up for comments, and we can just hang out and chat. So, we'll start off here. Unit coherency. That is we're starting off with a core rule of the game. Okay, I love it. Unit coherency, change 2. Units must be set up and finish every move as a single coherent group. A unit with 2 to 6 models is coherent if each is within 1 inch horizontally and 6 inches vertically. A unit with more than 6 models is coherent if each model in the unit is within 1 inch horizontally and 6 inches vertically to at least 2 other models. So, we already have a massive change, okay? For those of you who don't know, the way it is written right now is that if you have 1 to 5, then you get different pile-in and coherency restrictions. So what this is essentially doing here, I'll go to my fancy pants shared cam. What this is essentially doing is taking those units that are in increments of 3 and giving you a chance to reinforce them, make them bigger, without having to suffer any crazy movement penalties. For example, Gorgruntas. Okay, if you don't know those are the big pigs that the what are they called? Iron Jaws ride. It's a 3-man unit. Okay, so they can all be an inch apart, and that works great because their bases are so oblong that you can kind of wrap them around something. But if you're a pig lover, as I am, you want to take a big brick of them, and so you bump that up to 6, but then the rules change. Now you have to have everyone within coherency of 2 models. So what this is essentially doing is just freeing up anything. So it's not just the big stuff like the Gorgruntas. It's going to be your, whatever the Minotaurs are, the Tree Revenants. That's going to be a gross one, honestly. Crypt Horrors, Crypt Flayers, like all of those things that move or start in increments of 3, you're gonna run out and reinforce them. That's awesome. That's so freaking cool. I love it. Let's see. So, I mean, interesting thing here as I kind of collect my thoughts. It's interesting that they changed a fundamental part of the game, but I very much like that. And I want to give credit to where it's due. This is a thing that Vince Ventrella said when 3rd edition launched, like on the first day. He was like, this is an obvious problem for units that operate in 3s. And so, it took him 2.5 years, but Vince won out in the end, I guess. I don't know. Next one is hero phase. Command abilities, nothing changed there. It changed for this particular segment, but not core rule fundamental stuff. The magenta things is all we're covering, that's what I'm trying to say. Lookout Sir, also a fundamental core rule of the game, has also changed in a very exciting way. You must subtract 1 from the hit roll for an attack made with a missile weapon if the target is an enemy hero within 3 inches of an enemy unit that has 3 or more models. If that hero does not have a mount, with the exception of companions, it also cannot be targeted by attacks made with missile weapons if the attacking model is more than 12 inches away from them. The Lookout Sir rule does not apply to if the enemy hero has a wound characteristic of 10 or more. Another large fundamental change that I very much like, where you have the normal Lookout Sir rules, which is just -1 to be hit. However, if they're a dude on foot, they blend in with the other schmucks. So you just can't shoot them outside of 12. It essentially, I like this because I immediately think of, what are some great armies with heroes? I mean, Fire Slayers has a ton of hero options. Cities of Sigmar looks like they're going to have several. The idea of being able to bring heroes, Blades of Khorne is a great example, that aren't getting sniped out is awesome. With the exception of companions. So what that means with companions, so a person riding let's go with the Khorne example. Okay, so a warrior of Khorne riding a Blood Crusher can be shot at, right? Let's say he's a hero, for example. He's on a mount, so he can be shot. However, Korgus Kull runs around on foot, but he has his little doggo with him. He can't be. So the doggo does not nullify the sniping effect, is my understanding. I'm going to do this last one, and I want to pause here for open discussion, because these are massive changes to core rules. Next one, Universal Artifacts of Power, the Arcane Tome. Hero that does not have the Wizard, Priest, or Khorne keyword, the bearer becomes a wizard. And that can only cast Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and spells to summon endless spells on your army roster. They can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. Can someone tell me what they cleaned up? I feel like they added the thing about endless spells from your roster. Can someone confirm or deny that? Designer's note here at the bottom. When using pitch profiles 23-24, Battle Pack, and Charles Handbook, if a hero with a wounds characteristic of 9 or less is given the Arcane Tome, it gains the Andtorian keyword, so Locust keyword. That's for the overarching whatever rules for the new season. That's just what's going to be. So, yeah. Let's see. So I'm going to pause there, open it up for everyone. Like I said, there's usually like a 60-second delay between when I say something and when I get the feedback from folks. Right off the bat, in terms of universal army changes, anyone that has small heroes got an immediate buff with Lookout Sir, and I like that quite a bit. I feel like there should be more foot heroes that have an impact. Like I adore my Savage Orc boss because he just runs up and gets up in there. And the idea that you can't even try to kill him until he's 12 inches. I mean, granted, he's going to be within 12 inches on turn 2, but you know what I mean. He could be there. He could be wherever he wants to be. I love it, though. Not sure what the change to Arcane Tome was. Robin Mankiller, hey, buddy. Oh, and the Lord of all Ducks Halo there as a Sevron player. Most interested in Coalesced. Pretty much everything has just been pure positive for me. I feel like there's a lot of positives for a lot of armies. Quite a bit, actually. Certainly the unit coherency thing. How many remembering the stuff that has changed is my problem. I totally yes when everything's in a constant state of flux, remembering when things changed is a bit of a non sequitur for me. Okay, so Yeah, unit coherency. I'm just thinking like, yeah, Bulgors. What are some other really nasty, mean 3-man units that we would love to double up? Brutes. Brutes certainly got a huge buff. Well, no, what Brutes came in 5s. Never mind. What am I thinking of? Oh, the Immortus Guard. Those dudes, whatever they are, for the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. They have a great blender unit that comes in 3s. I think that's awesome. So, Trolls. Yes, great example. Oh, yeah, they would love to spread out. Absolutely. So, I'm going to move on here. We're going to start moving into the Grand Alliances, the changes that came from them. I'm committed to my Sylvaneth, but on the fence about busting out my Magic Turkey Cult. Magic Turkey Cult. There's a joke that I don't get. Turkey Cult. I'll have to think about that one. Okay. Grand Alliance Chaos. Only one entry, and it's for the Blades of Corn. Change Murder Lust reward ability on the Blood Tithe table. And then it gives us Magic Turkey Cult. Yes, Zinch. Sorry, back to this. Got distracted. Pick one friendly Blades of Corn unit that is more than 3 inches from all enemy units. That unit can make a d6-inch move, and it can finish that move within 3 inches of enemy units. You can spend Blood Tithe points on this reward up to 3 times at the end of each of your hero phase instead of only once, but you cannot pick the same unit, so you can just keep nudging your dudes forward. I like that quite a bit. I'll be honest, I haven't picked up the Corn book yet, and so I don't actually know what it's changing from. But anytime you can get movement on the board with your Corn, for whatever reason they don't like giving Corn a whole lot of movement stuff, or combat, whatever. Okay. Next one here, we have Grand Alliance Death. Flesh Eater Courts have a ward of 6 up. We've had that for a while, kind of like how they had older changes that just kind of hung around. But they do have changes to Soulblight Gravelords and then specifically to Deadwalker Zombies. So, Endless Legions. Change the last 2 paragraphs to, if you pick a summonable unit that is not a hero, on a 4-up, a new replacement unit with half the models from the unit that was destroyed, rounding up, is added to your army. That unit must be set up wholly within 12 inches of any friendly Soulblight Gravelord's hero or gravesite, and more than 3 inches from all enemy units if it is your turn, or more than 9 inches if it is the enemy turn. That is cool! Each destroyed unit can only be replaced once and cannot themselves be replaced. And let's see, if you pick a summonable hero on a 4+, you can set up that hero wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Soulblight Gravelord's hero on the gravesite, more than 3 inches from all enemy units. Okay, so it's just, you can pick a summonable unit or a hero. And with 3 wounds allocated to it. The hero cannot attempt a charge or make a pile and move in the same turn. You cannot pick the same hero to benefit from this ability more than once per battle. Now correct me if I'm wrong by what I am reading here. Oh no, here we go. If it's the enemy turn, you cannot attempt to charge. Hero cannot attempt to charge. It's interesting. So if it's a unit, they can't charge if they come in on the opponent's turn outside 9 inches. But they can come in outside 3 and then just not be able to do anything. Interesting. Deadwalker Zombies. Dragged down and torn apart. Change to, each time a model in this unit is slain by an attack made with a melee weapon, if that model is within 3 inches of the attacking unit, roll a dice. On a 5-up, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So if you have a big unit going into another big unit of zombies, you can pull from the back and they're not within 3 inches. However, if they are, on a 5-up, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Okay. Each time. Oh, wait. Okay, never mind. It's the other way around. So if you're attacking the zombie... Yes, okay. So if you're in melee, you would suffer the mortal wound. Okay, misread that one for a second. For some reason, I was reading it as the opponent staying outside 3. I was like, well, how the heck does that work? So anyway, that is our Grand Alliance Chaos and Death. I'm going to pause here for a hot second, catch up with the chat. But Blades of Corn seems very interesting. Anytime I can get movement, especially with the Blood Ties table, I dig it. And then for Soulblight Gravelords, I really do like the change. I'm just very curious as to why units on my turn seem to be able, if I'm not mistaken, gravesite more than 3 inches from all enemy units if it's your turn, or 9 if it's the enemy turn. And it cannot attempt... Okay, never mind. I misread that. So no matter what, they can't attempt anything. They're just going to come up and hang out, which is still cool. Outside 3 is fantastic. I like that. A Side of Salt. That's a great username. I am very happy about the points reductions that the Lumineth are getting. Don't play the chief nerd anyways. Yeah, of course. I don't think I would either, but that's awesome. I just tend to not like named characters. In principle, especially when they're deities. I'm like, what's he doing? I have no right to command a deity. I can't wait to achieve maximum bonk with my orcs. Yep. And fix my just sit and work on my trees. Nice. Sweet. Okay. Plenty of big fun changes here. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Corey. It's been a bit. So we'll scroll on. And now we have 2 more. Grand Alliance Order. I'm only sticking with the magenta ones that are changing. Everything else has been covered before. So, Lumineth Realm Lords. The Great Nation of Helon. Change the Gale of Killing Shafts, which is... That should have been tested. That's a terrible name. The Gale of Killing Shafts rule to, in your shooting phase, when you pick a friendly Helon unit to shoot, you can say they will unleash a Gale of Killing Shafts. If you do so, in that phase, you can add 1 to hit and wound rolls for that unit's missile weapons, but that unit can only target enemy units within 6 inches of it. Ha! I mean, you can make them gross, but yeah. 6 inches, I mean... I don't know. This isn't 40k. You're not hoping for Overwatch. I just feel like there is never a point. Is that true? Let me think about this. I'm trying to think. Whenever I think of stuff that like changes shooting or the nature of how I want to engage, anything to do with ranges and minimum ranges or maximum changes, I always think to myself, what would my pigs do, right? Like my bone splitters, I don't care about this rule. Like I'm sorry, Helon players. I'm sure there's gonna be some guy who's gonna be like, yeah, this is amazing, and then I don't know, gave +1 attack with a certain range for missile weapons. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Sorry, my neighbor. I have new neighbors and they love to rev the engines. It's pretty great. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So that's it for the Lumineth Realm Lords. Let's go talk about some Grand Alliance destruction. The only Grand Alliance that matters, of course. Orc War Clans. Add the following battle tactics. Sneak up. You complete this tactic if, at the end of the turn, every friendly Cruel Boys unit is within 3 inches of any terrain features and is more than 3 inches from all enemy units. That is very difficult, right? Because you don't have control of that. If your opponent goes second, all they have to do is throw one dude near you and they can take that from you. So I'm not a big fan of that one. Can you guys hear that motorcycle? He must be very rich and have a large penis. Okay. The next one is That's Our Turf. Now, you complete this tactic if at the end of the turn 2, just very specific, or more, at the end of the turn, 2 or more friendly Iron Jaws units are within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield. I see. That one's great. That one's great because it doesn't matter where your opponent's at. It doesn't matter if they're not near you or whatever. Oh, look, he came around the block again. He's letting everyone in the chat know how cool he is. Yeah. Okay. We're going to move on here to the Gloomspite Gits. Squig Herd. Okay, so that's our base unit of just the squigs on foot. Squigs on foot. The ones who don't have riders. They're all on foot. Such a cool neighbor. Yeah. Okay. Change the Squig's Gone Wild ability to each time a cave squig in this unit flees as a result of a failed battle shock test before you remove that model from play, roll a dice on a 3-up. You can pick the closest enemy unit within 9 inches of that model. Oh, there he goes again. Within 9 inches of that model, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. If multiple units are tied to be closest, you can pick which one. So they already have that running away ability, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't it used to be on a 4-up? Did they change it to a 3-up? Suffers 1 mortal wound. Prophet Man killed. Yes, exactly. Don't you hate it when, like, you're at a red light and all of a sudden the guy next to you starts revving his engine and you got to go home and change your pants? Oh. I'm calling my wife now and telling her how amazing Doug's neighbor is. Yeah, exactly. So if someone is a Gloomspite player, is that what changed? Because that's my understanding of it. Is it used to be on a 4-up, but yeah, it was on a 2-up before, and any unit within 9 inches took the mortal wounds, not the closest. Thank you so much, Corey. That's very helpful to me. I remember now that I haven't looked at their entries since they got their newest book. I forgot about that utterly and completely. Okay, I gotta go do some shopping. I gotta catch up on battle tomes. Unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So that's interesting. It is a straight nerf, but I understand because, I mean, is it though? I was trying to think of like how it could be no fun to like get a swarm of mortal wounds because of the dudes running away, but I'm like, actually, that's the most compelling use of battle shock as a mechanic that I've ever heard in this game. So I'm into it. Let's see. The new book is really Gloomspite Squigs. Yes. And our last here for the Grand Alliance Destructions are changes to the Sons of Behemoth. Bosses of the Stomp Core Battalion. Change the Core Battalion abilities to Unified and Magnificent instead of Unified or Magnificent. So that's a pretty good change. Usually you have to choose between the two. Unified is, it's a really good one. But giving you the chance to get that. And I believe Magnificent is the extra artifact. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. That's cool. And then also the Foot Slogga's Core Battalion. Same thing. Switch the one or the other to both. Squig's problem isn't the mortal bomb from running, is that they are 2 wounds on 25 mil bases. They need to be knocked to 1 and they'll be fine. Or so I think. Corey, I'm curious. Why does 2 wounds on a 25 mil matter? Like, specifically. I'm trying to think. Because they're not good wounds. They're not good at fighting, and they're not good at staying alive. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down here. We have, I think the remaining 2 pages are just points updates. And I'll be honest with y'all, I'm not somebody who like really gets into the minutia of points. Oh, they are so good at fighting right now. Okay. Yeah, I guess, yeah. As I said before, I'm working with outdated information, so I should probably check before I say stuff like that. My thought is that they were always supposed to be really bad. Like they're supposed to be chaff, so if they're bad at fighting, then I'm okay with them having an ungodly amount of mortal wounds when they die. But I understand if they're actually good, then that changes the discussion. I just like units that are really good at dying. I was trying to explain it to my wife. We were talking about different kinds of armies in the game, and it's like, she's like, what are your guys good at? And I was referring to my bone splitters. I'm like, dying. That's it. Squigs can get a ton of attacks in right now. Yeah, but because of the way keyword works, they gain benefits of things that buff Squigs and Gloomspite. Interesting. I'm going to go read that after this stream. Thank you. Robin Mancular, want to start a chat with you and Rocco, my boy. Been thinking about starting a new channel soon and want to pick a few trusted brains. Sure, go for it. Skaven and Nighthawk got 100% point reductions. Yes, so on my Discord, which if you'd like to join, you're more than welcome to. It's in the description down below. one of the users was talking about how his Night Haunt list went down 80 points, and I made the joke of like, dude, that's a completely free unit of Craven Throne Guard, and they replied with, how dare you? Which I thought was funny. I think it's interesting when you reduce the points on Night Haunt stuff, right? Like crossbows, yes. Sorry, I was looking at the chat here. Okay, Grimhaler. I'm just looking at some of the higher point cost ones. I mean, some of the named characters and stuff like that, I'm really fine with them coming down, especially at Night Haunt. Like Lady Olander, as much as I don't like taking characters, she is one that I would definitely own and take on occasion because she's just baller. She's also not suffocating the entire army, which is what I feel like Archaon and Nagash do. You know, it's like when you take them, it's not because you're choosing to take them, it's because this is going to define everything else that you take. Looking at Auric War Clans, as I pointed out on my community tab, all this is telling me is that I now have mathematical data to say that the Bone Splitters are the most balanced and well made of all the factions that exist in the game. You can tell because they were completely forgotten in every conceivable way. Which means what? They're great, I guess. Honestly, I'm happy about it. Like, I'm happy with them in general. They already gave the big Bone Splitter exchange, which is just not having to have 5 guys or whatever in the unit to be able to get mortal wounds, so that's fine. Let's see. As an ogre player, I am so pleased. I actually hadn't looked at theirs. Maw Tribes, Beast Riders, Frostlet. That's a great change for you guys. Those are some super chunky point reductions. 30 points on Iron Guts. But see, here's the thing with Ogre Maw Tribes, right? I made the joke about 80 points being freed up in Night Haunt. But at Night Haunt, you can reasonably fit an entire unit in there, but in Maw Tribes, like, man, those boys are all expensive. You would need to free up what's the cheapest thing in Maw Tribes, right? Probably Frost Sabers? No, not the Noblar. I don't know, but my point is, like, that's great. It's just you have to free up more points. You have to reduce things more than other armies to be able to fit something new in there. Fire Slayers, where are you guys? Did I go past them? I think they're up top. Fire Slayers. You know, I make a lot of jokes about Games Workshop's ability to balance, but I have to say, I'm really glad that we're in a world where we teach these stupid Fire Slayer players that they don't get to have everything that they want. They don't just get to win all the games. Why? Why did they nerf Fire Slayers? Are there really a plethora of people who are like the Battlesmith and the Berserkers specifically? They're crushing me, and only 10 points will make the difference. You know, I mean, some of them I get, like the Runic Firewall. It can be really gross. It has a lot of like utility, and I understand that being very hard to price, but it's just like, leave them alone. They're already dead. Just the top half of that ogre. It's a quarter ogre. Yes. Idnith Cheap Kid. Yeah, man. They're having a fire sale. What is that? Stormcast? Straight reductions, but everything went down like only 10 points or so. Interesting. No more easy street Fire Slayer. Exactly. It's time for someone else to be the golden child over there at Games Workshop. You have to share the spotlight. Now, the Slaves to Darkness one is interesting simply because of the sheer number of them. I mean, like, you think about other armies that have large rosters in terms of like what the book actually has. used to like Stormcast, but I mean the Slaves of Darkness one is significantly larger. That's crazy. The Demon Prince going down, that's wonderful. And I see that they reduced points on a lot of the... oh, I see. A lot of these are just the Warcry warbands. Interesting. I'm interested as to why they lowered the points on some of these, because like, what are they called? The Untamed Beasts are like fantastic. People love that unit. I mean, I don't know. I'm just curious. A lot of these changes were also just cleaning up and getting rid of the multiples of 5 because GW realized that was dumb immediately. Yes. Yeah, they were like, actually, you know what I don't like? Rounding. Everything in the Dominion box went down so they can sell those last boxes before summer. They're gonna be like, I don't know, 10,000 years from now, aliens are going to find stacks of Dominion boxes and be like, who were these incredible people of the past that used these as bricks? Okay, so that is it for the Andtor update stuff. Like I said, I don't have a lot of thoughts on points changes. I do want to share a few things here, though, towards the end of the video. Regarding the channel and stuff, like I said at the top, we just moved into our new place. This is the first stream I've done. Everything seems to be working pretty well. So I'm stoked about that. But if there is anything else or anything wrong, please leave in the comments down below so I can work on it. I have turned off ads on the entire channel going forward because YouTube's monetization is just getting a bit outrageous. That means that supporting me through other ways is really important. You can donate here on the channel, become a member, or use the affiliate link down below if you're in the US. I'm working on a UK sponsor right now. And every time you do that, it's worth about 8,000 views anyway, because YouTube is still ridiculous. So anyway, if you want to do that, support the channel, that would mean the world to me. I'm going to be working really hard to get caught up. My world has been consumed by moving lately, and so I'm kind of bankrupt as far as content. So I have to like actually go out there and read and write it all and catch up and get stuff going. But in the meantime, I am going to be doing a couple live streams to hang out, paint, and that kind of stuff. With this new home, I'm going to be working on a new schedule, so I'll have regular content schedule rather than scattershot, which is what I've done for years. And I'm just excited for the next step, and I hope you all are too. So I don't know why I went to such big, grandiose things. One thing I did want to mention is that pretty soon I'm getting a Hedonites of Slaanesh army, which is another one that I didn't quite look at the rules for. Point changes. I don't have any context for the units right now, so the points changes don't really matter to me. But I'm excited to start that army. Very stoked. I'm going to go for a Mortals heavy thing, building out some demons just in case I need summoning. But yeah, I've talked before about how I'm not the biggest fan of Slaanesh, but I really love Glutos as a model, as a character in the lore. And I wanted to challenge myself to try something different. And so it's an army that I've always just kind of glossed over, and I want to try it. So I'm very stoked to do that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Leave me your thoughts on Andtor, and we will chat then. Oh, here we go. There's a few questions here I don't mind hopping into. Let's see. Congrats on the move. And is that a Dolly poster in the back? Yes. That is what would Dolly do. I have my Bob Ross quote and a few other goodies I'm going to be putting up in the background. I hope you enjoy them. My favorite is when I turn on YouTube video and do the dishes and gluing models for a 20-minute start. Whoa. What would Dolly do? New month, new army. Exactly. Yes. Atomic Topher gets it. He understands the mission here on 2+ stuff. Do you have any thoughts about the Realms of Ruin real-time strategy? I don't, actually. I was intending to reach out to those guys to offer to promote the game, kind of give insight about it or whatever. I think I might still do that. The only thing is, the last time I tried doing that was for Stormgrounds, and as much as I liked the game Stormgrounds, it was so buggy. It just kept freezing on me for no reason. So that was a bit of a bummer, but hopefully this goes much better. I'm very excited about it. So I love the thing about the real-time strategy games. It has less to do with the actual game than seeing the miniatures in motion. So like, I don't care for Total War as a video game series. However, I think it is beneficial to Games Workshop for the sheer sake of letting people see what a Doom wheel from the Skaven looks like. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about seeing the miniature, but then seeing it in motion or in context. And then that's what I'm most excited about when it comes to AOS. What's it called? The full thing? Realms of Ruin, that's right. So that's what I'm most excited about. They showed a few little bits of art. The graphics aren't, it's not meant to be a highly graphic game. Or like intense, graphic engine stuff. The miniatures look kind of like cartoonish-ish, which I'm fine with. It's an aesthetic thing, but I don't know. Let's see. Good chatting, Doug. Let me know if you ever find yourself in North Carolina. Yes, I will. Set up. King Shame implied. Do you have any thoughts about the... Okay, never mind. I got that. So, awesome, friends. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you all